This is a guided tour of One Homeowner, so you know what it is essentially, and it's strictly an optional product for you. You can decide to use it. You can decide not to use it. It's entirely up to you. But hopefully, when we close this out, you'll have a better idea and a more informed opinion about what it is. Again, I'm Mike Connors. What is One Homeowner, and what is it? What's it designed to address? Well, there are some slides that I got from our marketing department, and this is one of them that I thought had some information on it that would address the need for One Homeowner. And specifically, it's the second bullet point here, that 88% of homeowners use a different agent when it's time to buy or sell again. Now, that came from our marketing department, and typical of me, I wasn't entirely certain that that was accurate, so I decided to go to NAR and see what NAR had to say about that. They had a lot to say about it, and essentially what NAR said was that somewhere between 26 and 46% of sellers use the exact same real estate agent to list and sell their home as they did to purchase it. And there's a lot of other information here, obviously, but what really resonated with me was the bottom part where it reads future intent versus reality. And they say roughly 73 to 75% of buyers and sellers report at the end of their transaction that they would definitely use their agent again or recommend them to others. The reality of that is that despite the high satisfaction rate, the actual follow-through rate drops to that 26 to 46% range when it's time to sell. There's a lot of reasons for that. This drop-off is typically attributed to the long gap between transactions. The average homeowner stays in their home for about 10 years, 10, 12 years. I've been in my home for 37 years, so I guess I'm kind of an anomaly. However, whether it's 10 years or 37 years, those are large expanses of time. Over a decade or more, or less, agents may retire, switch careers, move away, and then this part in particular, or simply fall out of touch with past clients. I know from my long ago real estate career, just to give you a hint, think President Carter and President Reagan first term for me. The follow-up on a home sale, despite all your best efforts, after a while you run out of things to talk about, and it just gets a little stale. So you try to find ways to stay in touch with them without being invasive. And again, this is one of the things that One Homeowner is designed to address. How can you stay in front of these people? How can you give them relevant information, past the gift basket that you give them when they close their property? One Homeowner is represented on the now side of this, graphic. You go from what we were and still are to a large part agents, and now with One Homeowner, you can become, if you wish, a trusted advisor. I don't know how many of you receive phone calls after the fact that someone needs a plumber, or maybe they need someone to configure their LAN connections, although everybody's using wireless now, or an electrician, or a roofer, or landscaping, whatever. One Homeowner addresses all of that, so that you can become, in an overused term, more holistic in the after the sale relationship. Okay, and what I liked about this in particular was our marketing department put fridge magnets and recipes on here, and that's something that really hits home with me. I can count on a lot of things. Sun rises in the east, sets in the west, that it's going to be cold here in the wintertime, and that we'll probably get a lot of snow. But in July, I can generally expect at least 2 magnetic Buffalo Bills schedules to be delivered to me from different agents. Okay, and about a month or two after that, I'll get recipe calendars. Again, from different agents, okay? And these magnets go up on the side of, this isn't my refrigerator, by the way, but this is actually a clean version of my refrigerator in terms of the stuff that's on here. I just looked at it about 2 hours ago, and ours is very cluttered. But my wife never saw a refrigerator magnet that she doesn't love, okay? Hence, I can tell you with certainty, because I just saw the magnet today, that the Bills played the Detroit Lions in December of 2024. Because it's holding up, I know that magnet's holding up an invitation to a shower, I think it was. It's actually an invitation that my daughter received to a shower that she went to 3 months ago, okay? Again, I love receiving those, and I use those. And in fact, the recipe for last month, 1 pan lemon, garlic, salmon, and veggies was really good. And I'd miss them if I didn't get them. But I did kind of disassociate the realtor or the agent from my property. You know, they're the people that send me the magnets and that my wife uses to put stuff up on the side of the refrigerator. One homeowner doesn't replace that. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, if you're out there and you send me that stuff now, keep sending it, because I enjoy getting that stuff. But One Home is a little bit more targeted. One Homeowner, I'm sorry, I am going to make that mistake. One Homeowner. One Homeowner is a little more targeted. It's tied specifically to the property, the investment that is the property, the maintenance that is the property, and you're the focal point, with respect to who's delivering that information. Okay. Again, the magnets are great. They go up on the refrigerator, and I might see them, I might not. All right. Now, this isn't a new concept. We had, and many of you may have used this. Many would be a stretch, because I know many didn't use it. We had ePropertyWatch, and ePropertyWatch, we brought that up around 8 years ago, and it was designed to do a very similar thing as to One Homeowner. Now, One Homeowner is a much more robust version of ePropertyWatch, but some of the elements of ePropertyWatch, certainly are in One Homeowner, but the consumer, the homeowner, would receive on a monthly basis a valuation of their home, so that they could see and view the investment quality of their property. So, for instance, on this property, it was, it's gone up 341% based on when it was originally purchased. Now, again, this is what was in ePropertyWatch, and there was more information in there that they could look at if they needed to. But the big part of it was that, and the most valued part of it was certainly that the appreciation, and hopefully not the depreciation, of their home would be spelled out in black and white for them. Now, from the agent side, you could monitor that activity. You could see who you had in as a client, what properties that were being monitored, and how engaged they were. And again, this is what One Homeowner does now, but there's more to One Homeowner than there ever was in ePropertyWatch. So on the 31st of March, ePropertyWatch disappeared. Now, a lot of you recognize this widget as one of those widgets you never used on your Matrix dashboard. And you go, oh, that's what that was all about. Yeah, that's what that was all about. And it sat there it was always on the Matrix dashboard as far as I can recall. Well, not always, because I think we got Matrix around 2016, 2017, but it was there for a long time, and it disappeared entirely. On March 31st, anyone who was using ePropertyWatch at the time had their clients and the properties associated to those clients migrated over to One Homeowner. But what's new, effective on yesterday, May 18th, was all of you now see this widget for One Homeowner. Should be smack dab in the upper middle of your Matrix dashboard now. Okay. Now, I'm just going to get this one out of the way before we go much further. You all are getting, or have now, the standard version of One Homeowner. And with the standard version, you get personalized homeowner hubs, 500 homeowner hubs, okay? You can bring clients or contacts in from other CRMs. They will be coming in from Matrix. They were supposed to come in yesterday, but they didn't. So look for those to come in from Matrix, and you will be able to, when you add a contact to Matrix, you will be able to add them in just by with a click into OneHomeowner and send that client an invitation into OneHomeowner. You have your hubs will be branded to you. So your personal information, your logos will be on these homeowner hubs. So in case you're wondering, what is he talking about, these homeowner hubs? Basically a property. I own a property, I have an address, and that address becomes a homeowner hub. And the hub is essentially everything, I'll say everything that they'll need to do or want to know about that particular property will be posted to that homeowner hub. You'll see that in a bit when we actually go into a hub. Automated touch points just means that's fancy schmancy for emails. They'll get emails that are automated on a schedule dictated by the client. The client may want them, they may not want them. How many they get will depend on how involved they get in OneHomeowner, because the buy-in to OneHomeowner for the client is, it's strictly up to them. How much of this do I really want to do, or do I just want to get that monthly email telling me what my property's worth? It's strictly up to them. They can get very involved in it. They can get sort of involved in it. But some of them will just be minimally involved in it and just expect their monthly email telling them that their property's worth X amount, and it's worth this much as opposed to that much when they originally bought it. And if you choose, you can add lenders to your hubs. Okay, so when you create a hub, you have a choice of adding a lender to it. Okay, so that's what you can do, and that's what you get. There's a professional version. I'm not a salesperson. I look at that from an agent point of view, and I'm like, do I really want to spend $49 a month or $399 a year to get this? Okay, I'm already getting 500 homeowner hubs. I don't know that what the professional part of it provides is worth the money. My suggestion to you is to start slow and work your way into it. If you decide on that, and there'll be plenty of places inside of OneHomeowner on your side where you can actually see what professional will add or bring to the table. But I wouldn't, if I were starting out, I wouldn't even consider jumping into that yet. I'd wait and see if I even got close on the 500. I don't think many people will. Okay. You can also get to professional if you add 100 homeowner hubs and have homeowners participate in them. Okay, and you get 1 year of free pro if you do that. Okay, but I wouldn't really be thinking about this right now. I'd be thinking about, okay, what do I have today and how can I use what I have today? All right, so that was yesterday. Okay, so yesterday, look for this particular widget on your Matrix dashboard, and you'll be able to click on this widget and go right into OneHomeowner. All right. I think the next slide is an invitation, and if it is, I will wait on that one. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to go to my Matrix screen. Okay, and here's that widget. All right, to get into OneHomeowner, all right, all I have to do is click on Access OneHomeowner. Now, what I'm going to do before I do that is I'm just going to jump over into the contact screen in Matrix and show you that you can send out an invite from the contact in Matrix you can send out an invite to OneHomeowner for that specific contact. Okay, so that's new in your Matrix screen, your contact screen. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my home screen, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to present this. There's two sides to this, obviously. There's the agent side, and then there's the consumer side. So I'll show you the agent side, and then I'll show you the consumer side. The reason I'll show you the agent side is because it's what you're going to deal with first off before you start inviting people in. I mean, you can do that. You can invite people in, but you probably should do a little prep work on your side before you do that. So some of you, I'm sure, have already clicked on this and seen what's in here. So when you pop in from the matrix screen, okay, so here, whoops, you will end up here. And if you're just going in for the first time, you're going to get a checklist of things to do. And it's going to tell you to complete your profile, to invite contacts and put contacts in, all of that sort of thing. And I've done that already, so I'm not getting that bullet list here or that checklist. Okay. But what you want to do is you want to make sure, and all of what you do on your side of One Homeowner are these icons to the left. Now, if I'm on my iPad, it's down at the bottom. So you want to fill out your profile, or you want to verify that your profile is correct. Okay, so edit your profile. You can enter your picture in here. And I would, since the branding is going to go out to your client, it's a good idea to put your picture in there. And it's just a matter of finding it on your hard drive or your network or wherever. Verify that your name is correct, what your email address is, any phone numbers. Just verify the information that's in here. And down at the bottom, I would add my logo, as I did here. And it's, whether you're putting your picture in at the top or your logo in at the bottom, it's the same process. I've already got one in here, so my choices are replace it or remove. Okay, and again, it's just finding it on your hard drive or on your network, wherever that may be, and selecting it and adding it. Okay, and once that's in, that's my branding. Okay, and you want to verify that that's correct. So I'll just save that, and off we go. All right, so next icon up is the Help Center. All right, if I click on the Help Center, I can get help, have questions. There's a pretty robust help center in here. All right. By the way, there is also One Homeowner Help inside of Matrix. I'll just bounce over to the Matrix tab here. In the Learning Lab, there is now a One Homeowner section that came up last week. So if you haven't been in the Learning Lab in a bit, it wasn't there before. It's now there now. So you can actually access more help for One Homeowner inside the Learning Lab. Okay, but we also have it internal to One Homeowner. And by the way, One Homeowner is actually behind the scenes a product called homeowner.ai. So right now I'm in One Homeowner, and if I go out to the help resources, you're going to see it. The URL is changed to homeowner.ai. So I'm dealing with the homeowner.ai stuff. Okay, so I'm a professional user. I'm an agent as opposed to a homeowner. I'm not an organizational admin, so I'm not going to deal with that. But I can search for articles here, or I can just open up on professional users and browse what's in the help. I can submit a request too. If I have a question directly, I can ask it, and they will respond to me. They, being homeowner.ai, will respond to me directly. Okay. All right. So that's what you'll find in the help section. All right. Above that, service providers. Okay. This is something that you want to pay attention to. Now, if again, you can be as vested in this as you want to be. Maybe you don't want to do any of this sort of thing with respect to service providers. However, you can recommend service providers to your clients. Okay, so when you invite somebody into their hub, so to speak, their homeowner hub, okay, there's a spot where they can request service or look up service from particular entities, okay, and you can from your side establish a recommended list so that the client will see those people that you vetted and that you're recommending for particular types of service. Okay, so for instance, I've used A-Best Roofing. Okay, uh, uh, Elbers Landscaping, Ferguson Electric, Kaz Brothers, Flipsky. These are all vendors, service people that I've used, and I'm just recommending them. Okay, now there's a boatload of others in here. Okay, and these will all be regionalized. All right, depending on where the client's zip code is, these will be regionalized based on their choice as to whether it's within 25 miles, 50 miles, and so forth. Okay, so if I'm in Buffalo, I'm not going to get service providers who are in Utica. Okay, so you get the idea there. Now, what I did is I went through here and I said, okay, yeah, I've used these people and I recommend them. And some of these people or some of these service providers were not in the list. All right. For instance, Atia, Brian Atia wasn't in the list. Okay. Purtle Plumbing was not in the list. Modern Mechanical was not in the list. Okay, if you have somebody that you've used and you recommend, you can actually add them as a service provider. They won't go in instantly. You have to, if you click on Add Service Provider, you just have to add some information like an email address, a phone number, the name of the company. And what happens is the homeowner.ai people go out and research it, make sure that the contact information is all, it's all copacetic, and then they will add the provider into the list and notify you that your provider has now been added to the list. All right. So you can add your own service providers, or if you're lucky enough, they're already here. Okay, and again, it's up to you as to whether you want to do any of this recommending or not. All right, advisors. Now, advisors, this is where you start running into premium features. You can add loan officers as advisors. Okay, and if you're into the premium stuff, then you can add other types of advisors, whether they're attorneys or insurance people. There's a number of categories, okay, but loan officers can be added in the standard version. You can have one default for everybody, okay. Now, if you don't want a default, then all you have to do is just toggle off at the bottom of when you add that person in. Just toggle them off, okay, and then you have no default. All right. So, but if you want a default loan officer, you can add them in, and then whenever you set up a hub, they will be the loan officer on that hub. Okay, landing pages. What are landing pages? It's where your client will go when you invite them into OneHomeowner. Okay, now there's two types of invites. There's an invite to a specific hub. And if you invite them to a specific hub, and I'm going to show you how to do this, then they won't get the landing page. However, if you just invite them, if you invite them from the matrix side, and by the way, that isn't working right now, so don't even bother doing it. But if you invite them, this is a generic invite, okay? So in the generic invite, and let's see if I can preview this so you'll get a bigger picture of it. Maybe it's under share. Yeah, preview. There it is. Okay, this is what the landing page will look like. If you invite someone in generically, not to a hub specifically, then they will put in their home address and they will create the hub. You're the sponsor of the hub. Again, this is why you want to fill out your profile, make sure everything is the way you like it in your hub. But they put in their address, and then the hub is created, and you're the sponsor, and it shows up in your hub inventory. Now, you can also share this out to Facebook, Instanet. What else have we got here? If I go share, post it on LinkedIn, post it on X. What did I say? Did I say Instanet? Sorry, wrong product. Facebook, X. I was thinking Instagram, or LinkedIn. Okay, and then if people are hitting your social media, they can actually create their own hubs and come into One Homeowner as well. All right, and this is what they will see. All right, so you may want to spend a little time on customizing your landing page. Okay. All right, contacts. Now, matrix contacts were supposed to flow in yesterday. They did not. Okay, they will. Okay, they're working. Our group ran into a bug, and not sure exactly what that bug was, but they've confirmed that they are working on it, and they will flow in. At least initially, you'll get an initial load of contacts. Okay, now all of these contacts I added in on my own, and you can do that if you want to. All right, but just understand that matrix contacts will come in. All right. Now, again, I believe it's a one and done, so you'll get an initial load, and then from that point on, you'll be adding a contact, and then sending them the invite and adding them in by toggling it on within the contact record. Okay, 1 second here. I just want to look at something here. My broker has a list for service providers. Is there any way that list can be downloaded to go into the service providers? That's asked by Stacy Preston. Stacy, I'm not aware that that can be done. I'm fairly certain that it's a one-off thing that you can add multiple service providers at one time or put in the request for multiple service providers, but there's no electronic way to transmit those out. So if they've got a list that's already there, you're going to have to add them. You're going to have to request it. If they're not already in the list, then you're going to have to request they be added in ad hoc. So, but you can put those requests in all in one lump sum, but you've got to do it one at a time. At least that's as far as I know it. Okay. All right. So back to the, thanks for asking that, by the way, and I wish I'd seen it while we were talking about service providers. All right. So these contacts I've added in myself. Again, you're going to get them to come in from Matrix, initial load. When you put a contact in Matrix after that initial load, then you can just select the toggle to port them over to from Matrix to One Homeowner. Okay, so there's also an import here. All right, and if I click on import, this would be somewhere other than Matrix. All right, and using API native. So if what's going to display here are a number of oh, there they are. Okay. Number of different CRMs. Okay. And you can select the CRM, and just all you do is select your CRM and then follow the directions, and then they will be ported. I tried it with Google Contacts. It wasn't very difficult. And I'm not familiar with any of the other ones, so I can't really speak to those other than Outlook. But if one of these is a CRM that you use, then by all means, you can port your contacts over from one of these CRMs using API Nation. Okay, now another thing you can do there as well is kind of the old school way. And whoops, sorry, went back too far. Exporting them and then importing them, and then uploading them via spreadsheet, similar to the way that you would do a bulk upload if you were adding contacts to Matrix. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, another question. Are we stuck with predetermined, presumably paid service providers chosen by the administrators rather than people? You can add anybody you want. I mean, I added. I'm not sure this is addressing your concern here, but you can add anybody you want. If they're bona fide business, then you can add anybody to the service providers that you want, and then you can recommend them. There's no predetermined providers or anything of that sort. So all you have to do is request that they add that service provider. So again, back to the service providers. Yeah, there's nothing predetermined there. So and I don't think it's paid. I know it's not paid, and the reason I know it's not paid is because the providers I added are I'm personally connected to them, and they weren't paid. So anyways, all right. So you can upload contacts from a spreadsheet as well. All right. But I would, before you do that, I would at least initially probably add some contacts in, and quite honestly, the first thing I would do is add myself in as a contact, and make sure, just as I would advise when I train on using the auto email function and setting yourself up as a client and auto emailing yourself. Do not use your matrix email, the email that's associated with your matrix record, user record. Do not use that for your client in OneHomeowner. Reason being that is everything is centered around the email. So if you use that particular email address, then you're going to wind up always going in as you, the agent. You're never going to go in as you, the client. So my initial recommendation is that set yourself up as a contact in OneHomeowner. So simply new contact, first name, last name, email address. Okay. And then you can save it. And then once you save them, you can invite them to a hub, a new hub, or an existing hub. So if I've already got this hub out there, maybe it's I've got it set up and it's configured for one person, but there's another party, perhaps a spouse or something like that. So I don't have to recreate the hub. I can just invite them to an existing hub. But if I want to create a new hub, I can do that. And I'm going to create a homeowner hub, and it's pretty straightforward. I'm OneHomeowner Buffalo. Select the playbook, homeownership, so it's a homeowner hub. This is my default advisor, and then you just follow the steps. This is, we'll put, just think of some, just off the top of my head, Burn Road, West Seneca, New York. And there it is, and then off goes the invitation if I invite them to a specific hub. I'm going to show you the differences in the particular invites in a second. Okay. All right. So let me go back to my contacts here. Now the other option is to send a landing page link, which means, and you already saw the landing page, they put in their address. You don't, it's not predetermined. Okay. So, I mean, if I've set up the hub, then I'm inviting them into that specific hub. If I send them a landing page, they're going to put in their address and they're going to configure the hub, and then it becomes part of my inventory. Okay. So how do those particular invites look? How are they different? Okay. So this is what the consumer or the client would receive if you were sending out the generic invite. And you can see they would put in their own home address. Okay. If you're inviting them to a hub, it tells them, hey, you're being invited to this specific hub, and then they accept the invitation. Okay. So it's it depends on which way you want to do it, and no one way is better than another. It's strictly up to you, and there are advantages to sending out the generic. You can use that landing page out on social media if you want people to put in their own hubs and then just populate your hub inventory that way. Okay, or you can create these for them and then email that out to them, and they can join when they receive the invitation. Okay. So these are all my clients that I have in here right now. Okay. and it's really a matter of just inviting people to a hub. So again, I hate to beat it to death, but create yourself as a client. Make sure you use an email address when you create yourself as a client. That's different than your matrix email address. Okay, and then invite yourself to a hub. So you, the agent, are inviting yourself as the homeowner into a hub or as a generic. Okay, it's strictly up to you. Now, the clients can have more than one hub. So I might have, let me just click on my first client here. I don't know if actually I should have made sure that I had a hub for them already. I do 2880 Main Street. Okay. They could have multiple hubs. Obviously you have clients probably that own multiple properties. Those properties don't have to be in New York State. I can own a property here in New York State. I could own property down in Marco Island, in Florida, or in Hilton Head Island, or some other place. I could have a double on the west side of Buffalo as opposed to my property in the south towns of Buffalo. Okay, so they can have multiple hubs. All right, and you just keep bringing them into new hubs. That's all. All right. So, my opportunities. My opportunities is a premium feature. Okay, and so it's not going to be available to you out of the box. And what it does is it just tells you what the clients are doing when they're on their hub, and also has a propensity score about, with respect to how likely they are to sell, or are they in a position to sell, things of that sort. If you go through any of the videos, they'll talk about the opportunities tab, so to speak, and you can review it there, but at least out of the box, you won't have access to it. Okay. My hubs. So these are the hubs for all of the homeowners that I got. I've only got two of them here. Okay, one on 2880 Main Street belongs to Mike Connors. One at 78 Park Place belongs to Joe Hubbub. Okay, and I can actually go out and look at those hubs and see what they look like. And the way that I'm looking at them is very similar to the way the client would see them. Okay, it's identical. Well, not identical. There are some things that the client has that I don't see because they're client oriented, but this is what they get. Okay, this is essentially what the client's going to see. All right, they're going to get their home value. Okay, what their equity is. Okay, and again, this information, at least in terms of equity, will be as complete as the information is for that particular property. Now, they might have to modify that. Okay, now I didn't change anything on this particular property. The mortgage information, which is public record, came in automatically. Okay, but the client can, at their end, edit that if they want to. Okay, I can review the list, or I, as the client, now I'm in the client's hub basically as the agent, but they can look at listing trends, they can view recent sales, they can they can create what if scenarios. If I add this or that, I can view improvements, get project estimates, recommended pros. I'm going to click on recommended pros here. I'm not on the client side right now, but you'll see what happens if I do plumbers. And this is how it shows up. Okay, this is my network, access our network. These professionals have been vetted and are trusted by us. And this is the one I recommended. And as I said, this person was not in the list. Okay, and I know him personally. I didn't even ask him. He doesn't even know he's in here. Okay, he didn't pay for anything. Okay, so it's strictly a matter of me. If I had another one, I could put another one in. So let me dismiss that. Sorry. Yes, I do. All right. Let me go back here, scroll down some more. We're kind of killing two birds with one stone here, because this is the same look that the client's going to get. Current home equity, they can update that, as I said earlier. Build wealth will allow them these, and the different components that I'm scrolling through here are also available. You'll see these in other areas of the hub for the property specifically. View build wealth will essentially tell me, if I add specific components, maybe I add square footage or a bathroom or something of that sort, how much is my house going to be worth if I build onto that? Okay, it just gives me some rate information here. Here's my loan officer, and tasks. Now, again, this is another one of these things where it all depends on how vested the client is in the in their side of one homeowner. And I'll show you where that is. There are specific things that they can do, whether it's taking inventory of their systems, whether it's their furnace, their air conditioning condenser, their appliances, their roof. They can determine they can put in what the age of all those components are, and they can do that inventory. And there are, all of these things will build into what are tasks and the timeline. Okay. And then, and again, I'm going to go over the homeowner side in a second, and you'll see where all of that is. And finally, trusted advisors. There's me, there's Luca, and what their purchasing power is, how much their equity is, and what they can do. And again, it's another what if. What if you take your equity and do this or that with it? Okay, and again, I'll go through that on the consumer side. Okay, so more about service providers. Nearby home values, all of the things that are here on this home page, they can also access up here. Manage home, and the screen will change now that I'm flipping through. All right, save money. This is all about refinance. This happens to be at a mortgage rate of 3.45. They're not going to really be saving money if they refi because rates are higher. But what if they added another $200 to their payment? Just again, what if? All right. Build wealth. I'd already talked about this. If they improve their home, how much more would their home be worth if they did, different projects? Okay. They tap their home equity. The color coding here simply is a guide to how wise of an investment, or if you tap your equity to do these things, what's your return on that investment? Okay. Yellow means maybe yes, maybe no. Black means generally it's a good investment. Buying a car, which is red, the return on investment. Using your home equity to buy a car might be essential, but from an investment point of view, it's not that great. Okay. Again, just a reminder, it's all branded back to you, so your face is still out here. Okay. So refrigerator magnet. There it is. Okay. All right. And then if I go to more, it's just going to tap, I can go into, this is kind of a catch-all bucket for a lot of the different things that are on different pages. All right. So now that's basically what the client hub looks like. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to actually bring in another page here from another screen. And I'm going to show you a couple things here. Let's just look at the homeowner hub. Okay, so now I'm in as a homeowner. Notice there aren't nearly the number of buttons here. Okay, they do have a profile they can build. All right, so if they click on a profile, then who they are. They can load a picture if they want to. Just look at their information here, and they can complete it to whatever degree they want. There's nothing required here. All right. Put in their time zone, Eastern time zone. That's fine. They can change their password if they want to. Notifications. They will get notifications from one homeowner, and the big one is that monthly one that tells them what their property's worth. Okay. Is it is it? Again, that's that. It's worth $500,000 now, and you paid $90,000 for it. Okay, so they'll get that monthly. All right, but there are other things that they might get, and they can turn these notifications on, or they can turn them off. They can decide how frequently they want to see them. All right, not at all, weekly, daily. The monthly one comes automatically. Okay, it's up to them. All right, and the number of notifications they get, again, depends on how vested they get into this. Okay, they have the same help center that you have. They just go to the homeowner side. Okay. And finally, their hub. Now, each homeowner on the homeowner side will have, most of them will only have one hub. Okay. But they could have multiple hubs. They could even have hubs that are the same for 78 Park Place. I could have two 78 Park Places in here because two agents may have sent me the same invite. Okay, I'm sure you're all aware that clients are out there in more than one, client side in Matrix. I had somebody the other day who contacted me about a client, and I said, well, you realize they're in 6 other client databases. And it was about an email thing, but that, obviously that happens. So this is strictly on the client side. Okay, so any invitation that this particular client, and this email address is joehubbub@yahoo.com. So any invitation that was sent to Joe Hubbub, no matter who it came from, it will appear in his inventory of hubs. Okay, now as I said, most of them are only going to have one. Okay, let me see. I got another question here. Hopefully I can see this. No. Okay, so I can't see the whole question here, and I don't know why. It's about personal recommendations showing, is there an introductory email script that we can send to our clients that itemize the benefits accepting our invitation? No, there's the introductory email is canned, so it's not like it's not like your auto emails or your where you can customize the auto email scripts in Matrix. These are all canned, so there's no place where you can edit that. Okay, all right. So I'm just going to click on the hub because that's really all they can do here. And you're going to see essentially the same thing that that I just went through, but on the agent side. Okay, this is their dashboard. It's essentially the same dashboard that we just reviewed on the agent side. Manage home. On the manage home category, they can create their own online list of service pros if they want to, but these are just tasks that they need to do. These are reminders and telling them how much time they're going to spend doing it. They can keep track of the repairs. They can get an inspection, add a repair, find a home inspector, potential upgrades, recommended potential upgrades. Education, there are a ton of education modules in here. There's 26 pages of them. The old ePropertyWatch would send out in every month when it sent out the value of the home, it would have a little piece on maintenance or of some sort. Okay, but it would stay the same. It got really stale. So for 6 months, I kept seeing that how to take care of my lawn if I have a dog or something like that. There's a boatload of stuff in here. Okay, there's more. They can get to it for another point here too. All right. If they need anything done, so I recommended Ferguson Electric, I think, as an electrician. So, they click on electrician. Here's my recommendation. Okay. So they can view other professionals here. They don't have to take my recommendation. I can browse categories, save money. Same thing. It's all what if. Okay. Again, the mortgage rate is 3.45, so they're in pretty good shape right now. So all of this down here, given the current rates, probably wouldn't be a good idea to refi. But what if they wanted to add more to a payment? How much quickly would they have this thing paid off, and how much money would they save? So that's worth knowing. All right. They can update their mortgage here. They can update it here as well. All right. Build wealth. It's the same as I had just shown you that. Here's the estimated value of their home now, and what if they were to improve the property. If they wanted to see their improvements, all of these improvements add a certain amount. So they remodel their kitchen to luxury grade, it's going to add another close to 20,000, goes up 4.6%. Okay, it just gives them ideas of, they can view their contractors, they can get financing. Of course, it's going to, look at contractors. It's going to go to, in this case, Luca Brazzi, who is my financier, who is my lender. So it's going to go to them directly because he's my default lender. All right, I don't have to have that in there if I don't want to as the agent. And they can go and find somebody themselves too if they want to. But the build wealth category, they can, again, it's all what if. What if I do this? What if I do that? We've already seen the purchasing power. Here's more education modules. We already looked at this. And finally, what I want to look at is my home here, because I don't think on any other tabs you're going to see this. Okay, here's my house. This is the purchase price. This is the purchase date. All right. Now you're looking over here, inventory. We haven't even talked about inventory. They can, if they choose, and again, strictly a matter up to them as to how vested they want to be in this. All right. So my heating plant, how old is it? All right. Got a furnace. I can take a photo of the furnace. I can take a photo of the tag to see what my serial numbers are. You never think you're going to need that stuff until you need it. I needed it personally on my hot water tank. What kind of furnace is it? It happens to be a Goodman, so it's not on the list here. So I'm just going to add it, Goodman. And it's 8 years old. Now what's going to happen is, based on the estimated life of the furnace and the fact that I put it in, I'm going to start getting reminders at some point saying, you know what, your furnace is getting a little long in the tooth, and obviously this isn't what it says, but you get the idea. It's going to remind them of the age of their furnace, and they got to start thinking about maybe getting that thing fixed, or not fixed. They will be getting that thing fixed if it gets too old. Replacing it. Okay. Other things like changing filters, they'll just get an email. They don't have to get that email, but they'd get an email or a reminder saying, hey, change your filters on your furnace. It's been 2 months. Okay. I have a golden retriever, so I know I've got to change my filters. All right. So, because if you've got one, then they're hairy. Anyways, so there are different aspects around maintaining a furnace that, particularly if it's a new homeowner, they may not be aware of. Okay. But again, they don't have to do this. They can do it for cooling, electric, plumbing. There are a bunch of categories here because it all goes off to the side here. CO detectors, smoke detectors, everything you could imagine. All right. They can build an inventory list here so that they'll know how much time, or basically what tasks they'll need to engage in to maintain that particular piece of inventory. Okay. So they don't have to, but they can if they want to. All right. Timeline. So timeline is just, as you would expect. Okay, property assessment, here's today, and as we scroll down the timeline, depending on how many tasks or how much inventory each piece of inventory has specific tasks surrounding it, like changing those furnace filters. Every 2 months I'd see that change your furnace filter thing in here. Okay, so the timeline will be as busy as they make it, depending again on how much inventory. Then finally, documents. They can upload documents here. Okay, they're the only ones who see them. All right, it's secure. There's 2 categories: insurance and warranty. That's already predetermined, but they can create their own folders too. All right, and they can upload Word documents. They can upload PDFs. They can upload pictures. I'm not sure of any particular type of file that's restricted. I just know that they can't have a file that's bigger than 20 megabytes. But when I think of this particular section. I know that our survey is still sitting in a desk on our ground floor, okay? And all of our purchase documents are in there. Everything related to our house is still sitting in the same drawer in a desk on the first floor of our house. And my wife and I have talked ad nauseum about, we got to get a safe deposit box. We got to get a safe deposit box. Well, this is kind of a safe deposit box, I suppose. They can upload those documents here and have them electronically stored. They can upload anything here. They could be pictures of a family reunion if they wanted to. That's not the idea, but you get the idea of what I'm talking about. So they do have this storage space. They're the only ones who see it, where they can upload documents. Okay, but again, the big thing for them is going to be, what their house is worth. All right, they're going to get that every month. I believe I have an email that's not it. And yeah, see my home's value. They get an email that looks something like this, and then they click on check in on my home. Then that will take them to this page. Okay, and they'll be able to see what the value of their home is. All right, so again, my images here. It'll be on everything that I send out. Let me just back up a little bit and amend what I just said. Here, you can see that I'm branded in here as well on this particular email. Okay. With the professional version, there's more branding, but I don't know that the more branding is $400 worth of more branding, if you know what I mean. I think you get plenty of it here now. I can't stress enough that before you actually cut this loose on your clients, if you do it with somebody you know, or do it to yourself first so you know how it works, so you get a look and feel for it, because I don't care how much help there is embedded in this, they're probably going to call you and ask you questions. So get familiar yourself with it. There's a lot of exploration in here. Okay, from the agent side, and this is the client side. From the agent side, let's see if I can get this out of here. Yeah, this is the agent side now, because there's my picture here. Well, it's not me, it's Jack Lord. But from the agent side, you're going to be looking at, I'm going to click on the picture just to take me back to my dashboard. You're going to be looking at setting it up first and foremost. So, check out the profile, configure the profile. All right. Make sure that the profile is the way that you'd like it to be. It's optional, so you don't have to do it. But the more you put in, people would be paying $400 a month. I'm sorry, $400 a year to have branding on it. So why not use the branding that's free? Correct. Help center, service providers. Figure out the service provider bit. Again, I can't emphasize enough. You can put your own service providers in. So someone asked, can I upload my service providers that we use? No, you can't. You got to put them in one-off. Advisors, you get one loan officer by default. And then it's just a matter of switching off on the loan officers. Okay. Configure a landing page. If you don't configure a landing page, they still get a landing page. It's just not customized to you. Okay. So, to edit your landing page, you put your logo in here. Make sure that your organization name, it should be you, depending on which board you're with, whether you're Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, or NYS. It could be NYS, just NYS, I suppose, is here. You can set your color. Mine's dark blue, but I have a green one. I have an orange one. I've got you can have multiple landing pages, but you can only have one at a time. So one by default. Just fill this in and make sure you've got it the way you want it. But if you don't put a landing page in, that's perfectly all right. They're still going to get the invites. They just won't get one of these customized landing pages. Okay. Expect contacts to come in from Matrix. They're not there yet. But you can put yourself in, at least initially, as a contact. If you came in from ePropertyWatch, if you had them in there, they would be there already. But put yourself in as a contact. Make sure that you do not use the same email address that you use in Matrix. How do you know if you are or you aren't? Go into Matrix, settings, and my information. That's the email address right there. I'm MikeCons at Verizon.net. I do not want that email address here. Okay. If I did that, then every time I went in, I'd be going in as the agent, not as the client. So set yourself up as a client, invite yourself to a hub, or send out the generic invite, accept it, put your property address in, and then see how it works from both sides. Okay. And then again, you can have up to 500 hubs in one homeowner. And I just can't envision having more than 500 hubs, but hopefully some of you are that good at this that you do need more than 500. Now, one other thing I want to stress, because this came up in my seminar on Friday. One homeowner and one home, aside from the name, have nothing to do with each other. Okay, coloring looks the same, the logos kind of look the same, but they don't interact with each other at all. Okay, they are two completely independent products. So somebody had asked me if there were, could they segue from one home into one homeowner, and there's absolutely, they are absolutely distinct products. Okay, so don't get confused with that. Okay. All right. Questions about it? You can all find me. I'm in Matrix up at the top here, 585-321-6788. But practice with it and play with it, and hopefully you'll find it useful. I think you will. And if you're sending me refrigerator magnets, still send them to me because I still use them. But I think this services the client probably more appropriately. But that's it. And thanks for showing up. Appreciate it.